All right, I think we can get started. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. So actually, before we start, we want to begin first with a land acknowledgement. Long Beach City College acknowledges our presence on traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Gabrielino Tongva peoples. Thank you. I would also like to make one quick statement before we move on to introductions. I was originally going to be accompanied by the student trustee, Richard Blackman, to help move today's conversation. Unfortunately, he needed to step back from this engagement due to a family emergency, but I wanted to give him a warm shout out to my buddy, and to credit the hard work he put into today's town hall along with the rest of us. So thank you, Richard. All right, now seeing as you're all left with me, without further ado, I will introduce myself. So my name is Ava Cross, and I am the Long Beach City College Associated Student Body, or ASB, president. I'm an English major, but I had a brief stint as a bio major as well. So my coursework has varied quite a bit during my time here. Also, I stopped just before OChem, if anyone else can relate. So hats off to those of you who are still going. I have no regrets, but I think I'm much happier in my current major. I also have a few reminders to share. Those of you who are with us live, I've been asked to let you know that you can provide additional questions in the Q&A box, not the chat box, to contribute to today's conversation. Hopefully we'll have the time to get to those if there are any that pop up. This event is also being recorded, so it can be made available for students as a resource in the near future. It will be eventually uploaded on the college's Safe Return to Campus website under information for students, or at least that's the information that I have at this moment. So with all of that said, moving forward, I am very pleased to introduce to you our wonderful interim superintendent president, Dr. Mike Munoz, who wanted to join us today and connect with you to say a few words. So Dr. Munoz, whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Cross. Good afternoon, Vikings. My name is Dr. Mike Munoz, and I'm proud to serve as your interim superintendent president. Here at Long Beach City College, it's all about you, our students, achieving your academic goals. So I'm happy you're attending this Return to Campus virtual town hall meeting. Not only will we be sharing the information you need to successfully return to campus for spring 2022 semester, this is your opportunity to ask all of those questions you've been saving up. I want to thank the Associate Student Body President Ava Cross and Student Trustee Richard Blackman for moderating today's town hall. These two students are the voices for our more than 34,000 Lbcc students. And actually, I apologize. I know Student Trustee Richard Blackman isn't joining us today, but he was instrumental in planning today's event. So again, I want to give him a shout out. I've had the pleasure of working with both of them, and I can assure you that they are doing an incredible job. The challenges presented by the COVID-19 pandemic have been significant for all of us and our educational careers, as well as our personal lives. But now, after being remote for almost 2 years, LBCC's goal is to return to pre-COVID-19 operations for spring 2022 semester. I'm really looking forward to seeing you back on our beautiful state-of-the-art campuses next February. For some students, it might be the first time you'll set foot on campus. You will love campus life, but we will, of course, also continue with online and hybrid classes to suit everyone's needs. As always, our goal for spring 2022 semester are contingent upon state, regional, and local health orders, but we are optimistic. To help ensure the safety of our campus community, our Board of Trustees took an important next step. They unanimously approved a vaccination mandate that will go into effect for spring semester. This means you must either be fully vaccinated or have an approved exemption to return to in-person classes or to use any in-person services. We established a reopening task force some months ago. We've been holding essential labs since summer 2020. We are already aggressively disinfecting classrooms and equipment. Masks have currently are required for both indoors and outdoors while on campus, but the vaccine mandate will provide that extra measure of safety. You all have already received communications regarding the vaccination mandate and exemptions, but you can find all the information you will need on the LBCC Back to Campus website. This website is located at lbcc.edu/return-campus. I know in today's town hall, you'll be talking a lot about the vaccination mandate, but I want to remind you of some important deadlines for students. The deadline for you to submit your proof of vaccination or your medical or religious exemption request is January 3rd. This will give LBCC time to process your paperwork by January 24th. After this date, students will be dropped from in-person classes and you won't be allowed to use student services in person. So I highly recommend that you submit your paperwork, the sooner the better. And just so you know, everyone must comply with this vaccination mandate, not just the students. That includes the Board of Trustees, myself as a superintendent president, faculty, staff. We're all in this together. Finally, I want to thank each of you for your patience, flexibility, and hard work, and remind you that you are not alone. Hundreds of LBCC faculty and staff members realize how challenging the COVID-19 pandemic is on our students' lives. Talk to your student representatives, professors, and our staff to let us know how we can help you. And you can begin to let us know. You can begin to let us know now, I should say. Thank you so much for joining us for today's Return to Campus Town Hall meeting. I look forward to hearing what you have to say. Go Vikings.
Thank you very much to our ISP. We really appreciate you being here with us today and taking the time to join us. We know you have a very busy schedule. And actually from here, we can go on to a few more introductions. So you're going to hear me talk a little bit more. We have two lovely people with us here today that got wrapped into doing this Q&A. But in all seriousness, like with Dr. Munoz, these are two very busy people, and we are thankful to have their time tonight. So without further ado, I am happy to introduce Dr. Noel Corral, the Interim Executive Vice President of Student Services. I forget how long your title is. And Dr. Lee Douglas, the Vice President of Academic Affairs. So go ahead and let us know who you are, what you do, and then we can get into some questions.
Sure, I can start us off if you don't mind, Dr. Douglas. Thank you for that kind introduction, Ava. And it's our pleasure to be with all of you tonight or this evening and help kind of share some information to what to expect as we approach the spring semester. And also just to engage in conversation and dialogue. I know we've gotten some great questions already previously to tonight's forum, and we're excited to kind of answer those as we move through this agenda. As Ava mentioned, I've been in my current role as Interim Executive Vice President of Student Services since March of this year. Prior to that, I was at Long Beach City College for about 7 years as the Dean of Counseling and Student Support Services. My career has kind of expanded from being a counselor to being a coordinator to teaching college success classes, and ultimately leading into administration as Director of Learning and Academic Resources in the Bay Area to a Dean of Counseling, and now here in this role. So I'm excited to be here and continue to support students and navigate through these uncharted waters as we try our best to come back to a full return.
Great. That's always a hard act to follow with Dr. Corral. It's so good to be here with you all this afternoon. I'm so happy to share this space with you. My name is Lee Douglas, as you've heard. I have the pleasure of serving as the Vice President of Academic Affairs. I've been in this role since the second week of August. So I'm actually returning to Long Beach City College. I was here for 20 years, served as a full-time faculty member for about 15 years. And then I served as a dean, and the Dean of Language Arts and Communication for about another 5 years. So I'm excited to be here with you this afternoon. Just a little bit about me. Like many of you, I'm from the Southern California area. I grew up in the beautiful city of Compton, so not too far from here, but I do understand that many of you have questions for us this evening. We're just excited to have the opportunity to connect with you personally, because we want you to know that we care. And we care about you. We want to hear from you. We want to be able to speak to you directly. So bring the questions to us. We're going to be as open and honest as we possibly can this evening, so that you all can feel very comfortable in returning to Long Beach City College. So we look forward to chatting with you this evening.
Thank you both for that. So I think we can start to get into a couple questions, huh? So I will start with the first one that I have in front of me. So at a special meeting called on October 21st, 2021, the Long Beach City College Board of Trustees passed a COVID-19 vaccination requirement that will become effective as the spring semester 2022. With this in mind, if we could start with the basics, what does this recent decision mean for students?
That's an excellent question. I will start off, and I'm sure Dr. Corral might have something to add. I want to start by saying this. Our primary goal here at Long Beach City College is to provide a high quality, safe learning environment where everyone has an equal opportunity to achieve your educational goals. So that's why we're here, first and foremost. And I also wanted to illustrate that everyone is welcome here at Long Beach City College, regardless of your vaccination status. And we're making every effort to ensure that our online students will experience the same high quality instruction and services as those that are taking the face-to-face classes. You'll be pleased to know that all of our faculty have been trained in effective, equity-minded online instruction. So our anticipation is that no matter what modality, whether you're taking fully online or you're taking face-to-face or hybrid, that you're going to get a quality experience. And that's really why we're here. We're here to serve you. We're here to make sure that you are able to accomplish whatever goals that you might have for yourself. Dr. Corral, anything that I may have missed?
Yeah, thank you for that, Dr. Douglas. And I think you did a great job at summarizing, some of the things to keep in mind as we return for spring. I think it's important to note also that as an institution, the purpose of the vaccine mandate that was taken action on by the board on October 21st was a mandate to reduce the risk of transmission of COVID-19 and to reduce the possible closures of classes, services, athletic events, activities that could occur should there be positive COVID-19 cases on campus. For student services, this now means a greater access to more students for those in-person supports, those services, access to events, and even extracurricular activities to look forward to in the spring. Currently, we've been offering limited services in person, but with the board passing this resolution, we're now able to provide in-person supports at both campuses 5 days a week starting in the spring. So it's going to be more access to services, that person-to-person support. We also want to continue to provide online supports, right? Dr. Douglas mentioned that we're not going to discontinue online classes. If anything, we're continuing to strengthen our online supports, our wraparound services and supports for students. And it's the same with student services as well. We've been able to enhance our technology. We've been able to enhance the ways in which students can contact us remotely. And we want to continue to provide those same level of remote services to our students, even as we return back to campus. We got some positive feedback of being able to talk to a counselor remotely. So we want to ensure that we're still able to provide those types of experiences, as well as areas continuing to utilize online forms, online services like submitting income verification to financial aid, for example. You no longer have to come to campus to submit that. You can do it online, and we're going to continue some of those same processes.
If I can just add one more thing, Ava, the last part of your question is, what does this decision mean for our students? I would like to reiterate that it means that we value you. We value your safety. We want to make sure that everyone has the best environment in which they can learn, whether you're doing it online, face-to-face, or hybrid. That's really what it means for students. What this vaccine mandate is not intended to restrict access to anything that we've got available to you here as a student at Long Beach City College. But as Dr. Corral stated, the goal is really to expand the options and access that you have available to you as a Long Beach City College student.
Thank you. 1 second, I think the light's gone off in here. There we go. There we go. It's working again. All right, so on the topic of extra classes and or services, so priority registration for spring semester this year began on November 8th. Open enrollment began on November 22nd. Keeping in mind the impact of the new vaccine requirement on upcoming terms, what should students consider as they are choosing between online classes and in-person classes? And as a follow-up, will the same course consideration be necessary of those deciding to take classes during the winter session as well? And why or why not?
Another excellent question. I'll start this one off. I just want to commend our faculty, our department heads, and our deans. They've really done an excellent job putting together what I really consider a student-centered schedule that offers students a variety of learning options. And I hope you get that tenor that's really what we're trying to get across tonight, is that we are offering a variety of different options to students. And the spring schedule really has a good mix of online, hybrid, and face-to-face options. Just to give you an idea, for our spring schedule, we have approximately 45% of our classes that are currently scheduled are online, and 55% are face-to-face or hybrid. So I want to dispel the notion that we're doing away with online, or that we're just coming back fully face-to-face without consideration of those that might not be able to come to campus and need that online or hybrid option available to them. And just for comparison's sake, just a couple of years ago in 2019, we were offering less than 20% of our classes online. So we've doubled our online offerings in the last couple of years. So there's more available. And an example that we've really tried to illustrate with the deans and department heads, kind of the direction that I've given as the vice president, is in those areas where we have multiple sections of classes. What we want to do is offer a few in each of those modalities, a few face-to-face, a few online, and a few of the hybrid classes, again, so that students have options available to them. So there won't be, in most cases, a single option that's available in various departments, but you have a number of options that you can, from which to choose. And so we think that's really going to open up, again, that access that students are so desperately needing.
And if I can just add to that, there was also a question around winter and what to expect for winter towards the end there that Ava had mentioned. And the winter expectation is that we are continuing business as we have been, right, this past year. So we will be offering the winter classes, schedules available. Registration has been in effect for some weeks now, and we'll continue to utilize the same process of screening, of providing either that vaccination verification or a negative COVID test to continue with the current screening processes. So most of you are familiar that have been coming to campus with Qualtrics, and that's kind of the screening tool that the college has been using to ensure that you don't have any symptoms coming onto campus, that you have submitted either a negative COVID test or vaccination records in order to be cleared to be on campus. So that will continue to be utilized into the winter as well.
This is actually a follow-up question. Let me know if this is too specific. Can you say if there are any subjects in which there will be either no online options offered or no in-person classes offered?
Off the top of my head, I can't think of any. There likely are some, so I don't want to give a 100% answer on this, but I will certainly look into that and we'll be able to provide some answers to that. I can't think of any off the top, but I don't want to give you misinformation either.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. We'll look forward to the answer at another time then.
Absolutely.
Okay, I've got another question over here. So depending on a student's decision to take classes online, to take classes in person, or to settle on a combination of the two, Are there any important dates or deadlines that students should be aware of as we approach the new year? Moreover, in the event that a deadline is missed, what services might students be able to look towards as a means of support? Now, Dr. Munoz offered some information on the topic of deadlines, but if there's anything else you two would like to add to extrapolate on that point.
Sure, and I can start with some key dates and deadlines to consider, but also just remind our students that we do have the Return to Campus website with the specific section for COVID-19 information for students. And in that website, we will be providing all of the dates updated and any information that's going to be pertinent as we return for spring. With that said, we have a few different groupings, right, of students and considerations. So for example, we have students that are employees. They're either student assistants, work study, etc., that are currently employed by the college. So those student employees would be following our employee deadline of submitting and having approved their vaccination or exemption forms. And that's a deadline of December 17th. As a reminder, winter intersession will have the same process as we have now for screening, testing, vaccination verifications. So we're really talking about spring, right? And what deadlines do we need to keep in mind to consider for the spring registration and enrollment? So in preparation for spring, the general student population needs to have their proof of vaccination or their medical or religious exemption requests in by January 3rd. So again, January 3rd being that deadline that we're looking for those proof of vaccinations and exemption requests. Why January 3rd? That'll give us a little bit of time to review and process the vaccination verifications. So we need to verify that the vaccination submissions are indeed all complete, or that the exemption requests have been processed and reviewed and an answer submitted back to the student. So that obviously does take some time as well. The other date to keep in mind, and that's important to know, is January 24th. So for January 24th, 2022, should students not have their vaccination record in the system or an approved exemption in the system, this is where students will be dropped from any in-person classes that they've registered for. So that can be a hybrid class that requires 1 day a week in person, or 2 days or a few days a week in person, or for fully in-person classes. However, there's going to be online offerings that we want to encourage these students to continue to take and register for if they're not able to submit their vaccination records or approved exemptions as well. The other piece to consider is after January 24th, students will not be able to register for in-person classes unless they have uploaded the vaccine verification or approved exemption forms. You can certainly do the vaccination and exemption forms after that. However, you won't be able to register until those are in place in the system. Students will be blocked from not only the in-person class registration, but also coming to in-person services. So if you're wanting to come to financial aid, counseling, or attend an event or an activity in person, not having the vaccination record or exemption in the system will also not allow you to access in-person activities on campus as well. And just the last piece, the reasoning why we're identifying some of these dates, not only is it time for us to review, but also time for students to look at online options should they not be able to continue with the in-person classes or hybrid classes. So we want to ensure we support and promote continued educational progress for students' goals, and we don't deter that in any way. And the reason for these deadlines is also to ensure that we have a safe environment for students and employees as we plan a full return this spring.
I wanted to ask, if I may, where might students be able to find the exemption forms? We received a question asking about that. Or could we have a repeat of the information if you already mentioned it and I just happened to miss it?
That's an excellent question. And the exemption forms for religious or accommodations can be found on the Student Health Services webpage. And I can, we can ensure that we post that on the website. But if you visit www.lbcc.edu/student health services, you'll be able to get to the page that has the vaccination religious exemption requests.
Sounds good. Thank you. Actually, there was another question that could pertain to the recent topic. And that was, if the state of the pandemic worsens during the winter, will that affect the extent to which the campus reopens for in-person classes in spring?
I'll jump in on that one. I'll say quite possibly, yes. And we're very well prepared. We've done it before, going to a remote option. And it's for us as an institution, it's much easier for us to make that transition from face-to-face to online than vice versa. So if we find that there's an unfortunate outbreak or that we have to close the campus for some reason, hopefully that won't happen. But if it does indeed happen, we are prepared to offer online or remote options in our class offerings. So as I said, we did it before in the case, and it was an emergency at that time. And I think we're even more prepared or better prepared now in the event of a similar action. So hopefully not, but yes, we can, and we'll be ready to do so.
And I think in addition to being able to respond to the climate and to the state of emergency, should we have that outbreak or should we have an increase and we need a pivot, we're ready to be flexible in all aspects, right? Whether it be instruction, in our services for students. As Dr. Douglas mentioned, we've done it before in having to close campus and be fully remote. And we're able to now utilize those systems and structures that many of our classified professionals, our faculty members, our managers, and students have now come accustomed to. It was really hard to turn that around in such a short period of time to set up those platforms. But now that we have them in place, it's a lot easier for us to revert back to them should we need to, if there is a change in the situation with the pandemic. It's also important to note that we will be continuing to follow our local, regional, and state health orders as they relate to the Long Beach Department of Health and the California Department of Health as well.
Yeah, and just one additional point, just want to bring to the forefront that all of our faculty, and I said a little earlier, but I want to make sure that I made it clear, all of our full and part-time faculty have undergone online training in pedagogy, making sure their courses are equity-minded. So as I said, in some respects, we're much better prepared should we have to make a change, and the faculty are prepared if that happens. And they're, more importantly, they're trained to provide quality online instruction for all of our students.
Actually, I do. We just received a follow-up question, if we may.
Sure.
So one student offered, with respect, I understand that you guys want to reopen, but there are still cases every day rising. Why should the school reopen if cases are rising and then there's new variants each day? it's not just COVID, but other variants too. So I'm reading this person's specific words. So however you decide to take this comment.
Yeah, and I can start it off. With the direction of the Board of Trustees and ensuring that we have everyone vaccinated on campus, that has allowed a lot of flexibility for how work sites under Cal OSHA, as well as the Long Beach Department of Health, is allowing work sites to operate. And with a safer environment of a fully vaccinated campus, one, we're in alignment with the other educational systems in California, such as the UC system, the CSU system, as well as our local Long Beach Unified Schools District. So being in alignment, having a safer environment, all have supported the approach of that full return in the spring, with additional supports for our online students as well.
Thank you. And also, if I haven't mentioned so already, thank you to the students who are providing questions.
Yes.
It does help to guide our conversation. So even if we have prepared this, this helps us to steer, into different topics that we might not have otherwise. So we do appreciate it and keep it going. Thank you. Okay, I have another question here. As we are approaching fall semester 2021, HERF funds, or Higher Education Emergency Relief Funds, were utilized by the college in part to provide incentives for students to become fully vaccinated against COVID-19. This marked one of several of the institution's efforts to encourage vaccination without a definitive requirement. Now that a requirement has been voted upon and implementation pending, will unvaccinated students or partially vaccinated students be able to look forward to a new set of incentives similar to those that were offered in the fall? Also, if you could explain why HERF funds can only be used to incentivize students, but not to reward those that have already reached the full vaccination status, that would be appreciated.
Sure, and I can start us off, and there's a lot in there in that one question, or
Let
one.
me know if I should repeat anything.
No, I think we're good. And Dr. Douglas will be able to kind of chime in here as well. So now that we have direction from the Board of Trustees, and we know that vaccinations will be mandated, yes, we will continue to offer vaccination incentives into the spring term for those students that will be getting fully vaccinated. So if you're a student who is currently unvaccinated, you can receive up to $1,000 voucher for the Lbcc Barnes & Noble bookstore. If you get your 2 Moderna or Pfizer vaccination shots, or that 1 Johnson & Johnson vaccination record uploaded into the system by January 3rd of 2022. There is communication that will be going out, if it hasn't already, to students with additional details about the deadlines and who's eligible. This offer is eligible for students who become fully vaccinated and upload their records. And the time frame is, we started, as you mentioned, Ava, an incentive earlier in the fall. So we're looking at August 2nd, 2021 to January 3rd. So the deadline to submit records into the system. And some students may have already received a smaller incentive, right? Either a $300 vaccine voucher or a $150 vaccine voucher. And we don't want to disincentivize those students that did it in the fall semester as well. So we will also be reaching out to those students to bring their total voucher amount up to the $1,000 mark as well. There is also, I know part of your question or a question in the statement you had shared with us earlier was, what about those that either don't make the deadline or aren't submitting, but there's still a need, right? So we do still have our emergency aid application that is available to assist students with direct aid. And that's in the form of cash aid or technology assistance, transportation, housing, food, etc. And you can access more information on the online emergency aid application, again, by visiting lbcc.edu /COVID-19 info students. And we can paste the link in the chat, but that will get you to a page where on the sidebar gives you access to the emergency aid application that students can apply for any one of those resources, because we do know that the pandemic has affected students in many ways. And we want to ensure that we're continuing to leverage HERF funding in the ways that we're allowed to within the regulation. And Dr. Douglas can kind of share a little bit more about those funding allowances.
Sure. Yeah, and to the second part of your question, that was a really good question about the incentives. And the language is clear that HERF funds can be used as a vaccine incentive. And so we've taken advantage of that. But what I think here is the key word is incentive, which of course means to motivate or encourage one to do something. And so we always want to try to be in compliance with, the HERF mandate and what they're telling us that we can and cannot do. So we looked at incentive and it's in the strictest sense. And so because of that, the language under the allowable HERF expenditures does not indicate that the funds can be used as a reward for those who are already vaccinated. I know there was a question students have asked me a couple of times, what if I got vaccinated, a year ago or 2 years ago, whatever, or a year and a half ago, rather. So it's to be used as an incentive, as a motivation to encourage those that have not yet been vaccinated to be vaccinated. So hopefully that helps address the second part of your question.
And just to add, and the reason to incentivize the vaccination of our students is, again, to reduce the chances of COVID-19 spreading, and the funding acknowledging that, right? And acknowledging that with more individuals vaccinated, the spread of COVID-19 can slow and reduce in the community as well. So it's a process for us to make an effort and continue to provide a safe learning environment, a safe working environment, and to also do our part in reducing the spread of COVID-19.
Yeah, excellent point, Dr. Corral. And that's really, the words that you used were perfect. And it's really a risk mitigation strategy that's going to help us prevent greater institutional expenses should there be an outbreak on campus. So as we've been saying from the outset, it's safety first for us, to making sure faculty, staff, and students are in a safe environment.
Thank you too. I must be staying really still because the lights have dimmed again. I can't keep standing up though. So if the lights go out, you'll know why. Let's see, I did see a question with regards to asking about 3 vaccinations instead of 2. I'm going to assume that they're talking about boosters, which should be in compliance with the next question that we have available, which is with regards to full vaccination status, Long Beach City College will accept the 2 shots required of the Pfizer vaccine, the 2 shots required of the Moderna vaccine, and the 1 shot required of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Now that single-dose booster shots are becoming more widely available, will the additional shot be required of students by the college to be considered fully vaccinated? Depending on the answer, would this be subject to change?
Sure. I'll jump in here, and Dr. Corral may have something to add as well. I just want to point out that our board resolution does indeed speak to booster shots, and our local health requirements for vaccination do not presently include booster shots, but they are encouraged. So not required, but we certainly would encourage everyone to get booster shots that have not yet gotten them.
And I think, to that point, we are in alignment with the Long Beach Health Department, our state health department, And in being alignment is that we're continuing to encourage it. So it's not currently a requirement. Should that change in the future, and there is then a requirement place for booster shots, we will be also following suit to adopt that as well. And we will also have the programming in the system to not only accept the vaccination verification records, but also booster records. And we are working on a process where if you have those booster records now and you just want to submit them and just to have them on record, you can certainly do so. But again, it's not a requirement at this point. It's certainly encouraged.
Thank you. Also, we received a very good, very specific question from a student. Will the overnight parking structure for housing insecure students also be subject to the vaccine mandate? Or I guess I think they're indicating whether students are vaccinated or not, will that impact whether or not they would be able to utilize that housing resource?
Yeah, so I believe we're talking about the safe parking pilot. So it is a pilot program that we are having through our Pacific Coast campus parking structure. We have partnered with a third-party vendor to really help with the technical aspect of securing kind of a safe place for overnight parking. And the process to go through and apply, express interest in becoming someone to utilize the space is still going through our Office of Basic Needs. And through that Office of Basic Needs screening process, there are some criteria that students need to adhere to in order to be eligible for parking. In terms of that specific question for the spring semester, I think we're still working on kind of the details of, because it is a pilot program, how it's going to impact the pilot program, and also the longer term sustainability of it. So we will certainly ensure that everyone on campus still meets kind of the requirements to be on campus for both employees and students. So we can anticipate those conversations to have an outcome to be similar.
Thank you. Let's see, on to our next question. So students who are currently taking classes will be classes on campus will be familiar with the daily screening process, both the online Qualtrics symptom questionnaire and the screening table stationed at common campus entryways. These students will also be familiar with the wristbands received at these screening tables. Wristbands replaced the stickers that were used throughout the month of September. Actually, I've got a wristband right here for those that aren't familiar. So yep, I got mine today. Will we be seeing these same student clearance procedures for spring semester, or will they be different? Can you elaborate?
Sure. And unfortunately, I do have to break the news. We don't have those stylish bracelets planned to distribute in the spring term because we have that vaccine mandate, and everyone that's registering for spring classes and everyone that's going to be attending spring classes will need to provide that vaccination verification. There's no need to provide a daily kind of verification for access to classes, right? Because the only way to get into those classes is if you are vaccinated or have an approved exemption. And similarly, for services on campus, events on campus, different activities, we won't have a screening table that you'll have to go through in order to come to campus. However, because everyone that comes to campus does need to provide proof of vaccination or exemption, we are still going to be utilizing the Qualtrics system in the spring. and ask students to provide that verification of being cleared to be on campus or not cleared to be on campus as they enter buildings for different services and supports. And there'll be door monitors just ensuring that everyone coming in is in fact cleared to come in, or they will be triaged to online supports, online services, and online activities as well.
Thank you. I'm taking a look at another question in the Q&A box. So let's see what this person is saying. All right, here we go. Let's say that there are people that don't get vaccinated. Will they be able to find each class in their schedule online? If not, what will happen?
So I'll attempt to answer that one. The question is, will they be able to, if they're not able to find the classes that they need online, what will happen? We're going to make every effort to offer a variety of classes, as I said, that will be available to students either online, face-to-face, or hybrid. And so what we're going to have to do is we're analyzing and looking at our enrollments regularly. And so we're going to continue to do that to see where there might be needs, see where we might need to add more sections and classes. And we're certainly prepared to do that. If we need to offer more online courses for the spring, we'll be basing our numbers, looking at our numbers, seeing what students are being impacted by our current offerings. If we need to shift some things to have them be online to meet student demand, we're certainly prepared to do that. I can't say it'll be every single class. I don't want to put out something that is not realistic, but I can say we're going to make every effort to offer classes in various modalities so the students will be able to get what they need.
And if I can just add, if students are in a situation where they're not able to find the class that they need online, or they're going to need to maybe change their schedule for a variety of different reasons, maybe even a change in work schedule, right? And now the class that you anticipated taking won't work because it's synchronous and you can't make that time. I encourage you to make it also an appointment or drop in to see a counselor, because counselors are able to help navigate your educational plan, help you modify your educational plan, so that if you're looking to take certain classes this semester and for whatever reason you're needing to pivot and take other classes that are better suited for your schedule, they can help support you through that as well.
Thank you. Let's see. I believe we have another question here. So, okay, here we go. This semester, COVID-19 testing locations have been provided at LAC and PCC for those who chose to submit weekly testing in lieu of proof of vaccination. Given the spring 2022 vaccine requirement, weekly testing will no longer be an option for those wishing to come on campus. As a result, will Lbcc be removing its testing locations? And if so, by what timeline?
I'll jump in here on this one. I'm pleased to report that our testing service will be available through the winter intersession. So those of you that still need to have a regular testing through the winter, you're good. The on-campus testing will be unavailable for spring. However, limited testing will be available for those with approved accommodations that will need to seek out that testing. So through winter, for sure. After that, we'll be doing away with the testing locations, but providing some testing on isolated cases for those with approved accommodations, as I said.
And if I could just add a huge, huge shout out to our student affairs team, our student health services team, our nurses, our front desk staff, our classified professionals, managers, our dean of student affairs, director, for being able to come together and work with our processes so that students can have the option this past year to either test or vaccinate, and ways in which we can submit those records of both testing and vaccination. It was a huge lift. And in addition to student affairs, it was also our IT folks, our athletic folks that all came together to really help our students, but our community find a way to respond and get students in classes that they'd like to take in person. So I do want to give a shout out, although we're transitioning away from the in-person testing and providing that, it did take a huge effort to get that going. And I do want to acknowledge everyone's contributions to that.
Absolutely. Thank you for the addition of that. And I just got a reminder that we have about 9 minutes left. So I'm going to take a look at the.
If I can, if I can add to something that Dr. Douglas mentioned on that last one. For students that are receiving approved exemptions, either religious or medical, there may be those case-by-case students that we would still need to have negative COVID tests in order to access the college or access in-person classes. So those are the ones that we would continue to help support with on-site testing, but it's going to be very limited, right, to those individuals. If, as I mentioned earlier, the Student Health Services website does have the exemption forms to complete. We will be utilizing a third-party law firm to review all the exemptions and provide legal guidance on approved or reasons why exemptions would be denied. So please know that it does take maybe a week or two for that to turn around. So it's going to take some time for us to process. So the earlier we can get those exemption forms for those interested, the better it's going to be for us to turn that around soon as well.
Thank you. I've got another question from the Q&A box to ask. This person writes, I understand there isn't a weekly test for vaccinated students. Given that people who are vaccinated can still catch and spread COVID, why aren't we taking safety protocols to ensure that they are not carrying COVID-19?
So I think for the district, we've been really focused on one, reducing the transmission of COVID-19. And I think the board's action on October 21st was a strong stance in really limiting the transmission of COVID-19. We're also required to operate within our CalOSHA requirement, which is the state organization that work sites need to operate within, in alignment with local health orders and health departments. And in all of those entities, the recommendation / requirement has been, and we're seeing it continue to spread in other arenas, in other areas, in the government fields, that requirement of vaccine mandates and requirements. We haven't necessarily seen, at least in the educational setting, a requirement or a process to, in addition to requiring a mandate for a vaccine, to also requiring a testing on top of that. There's certainly a testing cost that the district is needing to incur, and we've been able to do that through the use of HER funding. And through the use of HER funding, we're able to support students, which is how we were able to support students this fall with the testing on site. Now, we're needing to expend our HER funding by May, right? May is kind of the last month that we're allowed to utilize, as of now, the HER funding. So we wouldn't necessarily have also the resources to continue to provide the testing option longer term for students or employees as well.
If I can add, just a couple other things that we're doing to help mitigate the risk of folks coming to campus. that we're offering regular nightly sanitizing of all the spaces, the classroom spaces, to make sure that folks are safe. We're going to be requiring masks indoors. So though we're not fully, just kind of saying, come one, come all, we are still taking steps to ensure safety. And I want to make sure that that's really clear. By no means are we saying that it's eliminating all risk, but we want to mitigate the risk of those that are coming to campus. And we believe the vaccine mandate is one means, maintaining our masking indoors, as well as the regular cleaning that's going to be done throughout our campus will help keep us all safe. And so I just want to mention that as well.
And I'm so glad you're my partner in this, Dr. Douglas, because you also sparked a reminder in my mind as well, in that, in addition to the regular classroom cleaning that will be taking place every night, same thing for our offices and our front desk services. We also have plexiglass installed in some of our student-facing front counter services as well. And we will be also having sanitization kits in all of our areas, so that we do our part in ensuring that we have a clean and sanitized environment as we return in the spring.
Well, I think it is about that time to wrap things up. I know I'm having to watch the time. So if Dr. Corral, Dr. Douglas, if the two of you would like to give any closing remarks, this would be the time to do so.
And since I started off to begin with, I'd like to have Dr. Douglas kind of start us off here to end.
Sure. I'll be brief because you are indeed the closer. I just want to finish with the way I started by saying you're welcome here. We welcome you. And I want to speak to each and every student. We're not intending to drive anyone away with this vaccine mandate, but we're really trying to make every effort to make sure we're safe. I know people fall on both sides of the vaccine debate, and that's not why we're here tonight. But regardless of where you fall, whether you want to be vaccinated or you don't, that doesn't matter to me as the Vice President of Academic Affairs or to us as a leadership team. We want you to know that you are welcome. We're trying to provide a number of different options, whether you're vaccinated or not, so that you can achieve your educational goals. And that's really, for me, the bottom line. And so you are welcome here at Long Beach City College.
And in these last 40 seconds, I would like to just echo Dr. Douglas's comments and really emphasize that here at Long Beach City College, we're promoting a culture of care. And we want to ensure that you feel supported and cared for despite the climate, despite mandates. We want to ensure that we have a safe environment for you. We want to ensure that we have a safe environment for employees, but that we do it in a caring way that provides support along the way. So you heard the different options depending on where you stand. If you want to come in person, we'll have classes, we'll have supports for you. If you want to do it hybrid, a little of both, or if you want to do it fully online, just know that LBCC is here for you, and we want to do what we can to support you to meet your end goal and reach your aspirations.
Thank you both. And I would like to add a thank you also to everyone who joined us here today or is deciding to watch this at a later date, since this will be recorded and again on the Safe Return to Campus website. Good luck to everyone who still has UC applications to finish. I know I was very happy that the deadline got extended as well. So I will be working on those tonight as well, finishing those up. So I feel your pain, but it's exciting as well. If anyone has any further questions, you can also send an email to me. The ASB president email address is asbpresident@lbcc.edu. And I think I can also extend the same invitation to email the student trustee as well. I know that the two of us are usually partners in everything, just like these two VPs are here, so I've got my partner as well. So yeah, and that's student trustee at lbcc.edu. Again, thank you all for joining us. Have a wonderful night.
Great job, President Cross. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.